Which this, I honestly almost think a 6-episode season would be better.
I mean, like that spot, I think, because there's a lot of theories about
There's a
them not
few.
going as far into book 2, and I think where we ended episode 6 would have been a good ending for the season if
Yeah,
there
but it's
isn't
just
going to
there's
be a lot
so
of.
much. I don't know. Podcasts I've been listening to. I guess there's a lot of theories and stuff that there's going to be a lot of huge changes. Like it was on Easing the Reader that just started their podcast, and they had WoTTube as a guest talking about how the possibility that they're going to cut out Bearlane,
Verlon.
man, that
Yeah, a
name,
lot of people seem to be
and then
pretty.
Min's just going to be in Saldea or in
Well, reading the pattern, Rebecca from Reading the Pattern had that theory that based on Min's appearance, when they announced her casting, things like that, that maybe
because
she'll be
supposedly her
Faldarin.
agent, yeah, her
And
agent
then,
said they
yeah.
just started filming.
Welcome to Another Turning. I'm Jessie, and my brother Ben and I are on a quest to inform everyone about the upcoming Amazon adaptation of Wheel of Time, our hopes, our fears, and our grand opinion. Follow along as we revisit some of the history of the series' path to the screen and predict what is yet to come.
Welcome to the next episode of Another Turning.
Today we're going to make some predictions about how we think episode 7 and 8 of season 1 of Wheel of Time might go, even though we really have absolutely no idea.
So yeah, we got we got 5 with a assumed 6 title of episodes forever ago, before they even started filming. Episode titles were released,
Mm-hmm.
and then I forget how long ago they finally confirmed that 6th episode title, not chronologically speaking, but they confirmed all of the episode titles we had already assumed, and they have not released any more episode titles, which makes sense because 7 and 8, you're talking about the finale of a season. I could
Yeah.
understand not wanting to release those titles because it could be really impactful titles. Seems like they're all based off chapter titles. I made a Twitter post of possible predictions of episode titles that I think fits with the timeline we've kind of been going off of.
Yeah,
They
so I definitely get them keeping 7 and 8 a little more under the wraps. I thought maybe when they resumed filming at the start of, I guess it's been like a month they've been at filming again. I thought maybe they would
Yeah.
give us that information because that's when we got 5 and 6 confirmed. Was they've been recording in 2 episode blocks, and when they started the 5-6 block, that's when we got that confirmed. And I thought maybe they'd do that for 7 and 8 when they got back to filming, but
Well, I mean, since they got back to filming, they made an announcement and then they've been quiet. There's been nothing.
after the readathon, read along, whatever ended, the book club ended, they haven't said anything. And I think they're probably going to keep that silence until a trailer or until they're done filming. I think when they wrap filming, they might make like an announcement, but I think
Well, I
they're
mean,
going to
it's
stay quiet.
interesting because I think Barney Harris had a bunch of like stuff got he'd been posting over the quarantine, and like a lot of his stuff got like scrapped around the time they started filming.
Yeah.
So I think they're really crunching down on the whole not put stuff out there. There's leak, there's theories
I
out
don't
there.
know. Yeah, I mean, so before quarantine started, uh some of the cast members posted occasionally but not very often. Barney Harris hadn't posted anything. Like he had an Instagram with like one picture on it or something. During quarantine, the last like 2 months of quarantine for them, he started posting like crazy, and then when they went back to filming, he wiped it all.
Yeah,
But I
it was
can't see them
strange.
doing that. It's not like he was like posting about
I know it's just
anything. I
conspiracy
Yeah.
stuff,
But we have seen, I mean, if you
but
want to
no,
talk
this
about social media, Yosha Stradowski tweeted out some gym pics with the gym weaves as the gym wheels or something like that, which is
oh
pretty
yeah, I
cute.
think I saw that. But no, so honestly, I think they're cracking down on stuff is because like they have given there are a few castings that have not been announced yet that are, I would almost say, with how many announcements they've made, they should. It's not like they're hiding the casting of like Rand if they had hidden that this whole time. I could understand maybe keeping that hidden. but like we have the Trakan family, which
Yeah,
of
we
course
haven't gotten a
people
single Tricond yet.
people have all kind of crazy theories like, oh, well, maybe they're cutting stuff, which we I know they're gonna change stuff, but we've been staying pretty close to the book because it's really hard to predict changes. Yes, we can go off of all the stuff that is announced, but so it is weird that they haven't announced those castings because it's not like they're anything unless they got like some ridiculous actor or actress that they want to keep hidden
Yeah, I can't imagine.
for
And it
one
doesn't
of
make
those
sense to keep a
roles.
big name actress or actor hidden. Like, you want to announce that, you want to be able to hype that up. I don't I
Maybe, I
don't know why
mean,
that's being kept secret. We've had a couple leaks that haven't been confirmed, but like it's stuff that's relatively small or but the Tricons are weird to me that they haven't been announced. I'm not
it
like
is.
going totally crazy like they've been cut or anything, but it is a little weird to me that they haven't been announced. But based on what we were doing for our scheduling, they would have been in the episode 3-4 block, which we also didn't get a lot of information about.
True. This is what I mean by like maybe if they had a big name actor or actress. Okay, they've been releasing stuff periodically, and at least within the Wheel of Time fandom, the hype has been staying consistent. They came back to filming. They don't have much left they want to announce, so it's starting to there's a lull in the hype a little bit because they've just been so engaging. So maybe, yeah, trailer will be a big hype, but maybe like they want to wait until if as the hype starts to go down, maybe Morgas is some amazing actress. And obviously you can't announce the rest of the Tricans without Morgas because then it would be really weird and we
Eh,
would know they were doing something. So it could be that's what I meant by if they had a big name, it might be something to try to like reboost the hype after it starts to die out, something like that. My
yeah.
conspiracy theories.
There's
Um,
definitely some, and
I
I
think
think it's
Amazon.
interesting thinking on it that all the names we don't have, I would put in that episode 3-4 block because we don't have the Tricons, we don't have Elida, and we don't have Elias. And I would put them in that 3-4 block. So it could just be they're trying to be secretive about that filming block for some reason.
And they've said they've been filming chronologically, but we've only really got 1, 2, confirmed 1, 2 was happening, and 5, 6, 3, 4. Yeah, there's been like no information.
Nope.
So it could be that they actually are filming 3, 4. Maybe they filmed part of 3, 4 and they're filming some of it now. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, it is a pretty big assumption that they're filming chronologically, but also like based on things we have gotten for numbers and stuff, it would make sense that that's what they're
Oh,
doing,
plus I
unless
think Rafe.
filming is taking way longer than we're
Well,
expecting.
yeah. Plus Rafe did say up through episode 6 was pretty much done except for post production. So that kind of assumes that it's only 7 and 8. Um, it's also like they're in crunch time now, and my conspiracy theory that a company like Amazon is controlling all the information. The leaks are purposeful leaks, I feel. I'm a firm believer that a lot of leaks are on purpose.
Eh, I don't buy that. That's getting too far conspiracy theory for me.
Well, I
I
mean,
think
some of
some
the
of the
stuff.
announcements they've made have been in direct response to the leaks, so they can kind of get ahead of them, but I don't think Amazon's doing the leaks. I think these things just happen with productions.
You're talking about a company this size that probably had everybody associated with it sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, but just because you sign an NDA doesn't mean you stick to it.
Yeah, but there's usually harsh penalties for things like that.
Depending on like what level you are and what you leak, I mean the
I guess. I
penalty
don't
could
know.
be
Let me have my conspiracies.
whatever.
The only
Um
conspiracy I have, Amazon controls the leaks.
anyway.
But okay, I guess we should actually get into
Yeah,
stuff.
so when you had tweeted, this was a while ago, beginning of September, you tweeted that you thought episode 7 was new friends and old enemies, or from stone to stone, and that episode 8 would be what may be. That was your
Yeah,
thought. I haven't
like
even looked. Let me see. Let me look at the glossary for the Great Hunt real quick and see if there's anything that stands out. That's the table of contents.
you mean table of contents. Um. So okay, well, when you're looking things up, okay. So when we talked about episode 6, which is the Flame of Tarvalon. We predicted they would get to about the point where everybody's in the courtyard about to depart. We'd get
Hmm.
the shot at Rand slash the Amerlin that kills some random dude, which I don't know if we discussed that scene on whether or not it would stay in,
I think we
leave.
talked
It's
about it a little bit, but kind of brushed over it. I don't really see, personally, I don't see that much significance in it. Insofar as we already know Rand is important. Like, because the whole
yeah,
point of that scene was, oh, they were trying to kill the Amerlin, but really they were trying to kill
yeah.
Rand, which,
And I know we were hesitant on it because we didn't feel like we filled a lot of content, and I just started relisting the book two to try to refresh myself. And when I announced those titles, I was looking about the amount of chapters I thought would be covered, and I think what I announced for episode 7, so chapter 9, leave takings, is approximately our ending point for episode 6.
mm-hmm.
From Stone to Stone is chapter 13,
Yeah, it's not very far.
4 chapters later
Well,
for
I think
an episode.
one of the things, I guess, I'm trying to think of the best way we can discuss this because I don't know. You, I think, had said specifically you see one of these episodes being very focused on the girls and one of them being more focused on Rand. I think is what you had said.
Um, a little bit.
And I don't
Uh,
know. I kind of see the same thing. I just don't know which one I would do where. Because, okay, I imagine episode 8, the end of the season, being. I think it'll be when Egwene and her crew and at least enter the Waygate. I don't know if I would show the other side of the Waygate. I don't think we should see the Sean Chan at all in this season. So maybe
yeah,
just entering the Waygate and we're like, what's going to happen to them? Or maybe you see them get out of the Waygate and we know they do something where we know something bad happened to them, but we don't know exactly what. Um,
yeah.
so that's where I think for them, I am much, much less sure on where I think Rand and them should end. I had been thinking when they first enter the portal world, but given how
But
short
that's
that
really
is,
short. Yeah,
yeah, I don't
that
know.
happens. Okay, so in the books, it's really weird, and I think we talked about it the last time we recorded. Well, when we recorded our episode 6, we just discussed it, and it's really weird the timing on it, and that's why I pulled up. I have all the chapter titles and stuff. So,
Well, because
we're at leave
every
taking.
other
So,
point
basic story.
yeah, every other point I can think to end his story, their story, the guy's story, is just so much further. Because the other places I would either do it is the flicker, flicker, flicker scene, which is
Yeah,
really close to the end of the Great Hunt, or um, the when they try to get in the way gate and the way gate's blocked, which isn't the most
you might as
exciting
well just
spot
go
to
to
end.
Flickr at that. Oh well, you might as well just continue to the Flickr. That is uh chapter 36, I think is when that happens. Um,
For the flicker scene,
yeah, 36 or 37.
yeah, 37. And
Um,
then
and
the 34 would be when the way gate is blocked. Or
so
maybe
okay,
33.
this is what I mean. So quick time frame for our different group. We have 2 main groups here, with 1 or 2 extra scenes thrown in that we haven't covered, that depending on where our endings. So we had leave takings. We have 3 or 4 chapters of the Rand, Perrin, and Matt traveling. We have a couple of town stops. Then they get to the camp at the Portal Stones, and Rand wakes up in a new world.
Mm-hmm.
Then we jump. Well, we get 1 chapter after that. Well, we no, we get the next few chapters are between. We get like 1 chapter with Perrin and Matt and them still in the normal world. Then we jump to Rand. It goes a little bit, couple of chapters, and then it's to the White Tower, which is 18. So that's 9 chapters later. We get the first chapter of Nynaeve and Egwene's journey. I think. I don't know. I'd have to actually jump in and read, but just based off a chapter title, that's 9 chapters. We could technically do, because I my prediction for chapter 7 and why I said from stone to stone, And I didn't realize how much there was technically from to the White Tower. Yeah, because they're on the boats in that chapter. I didn't realize how many chapters it was from there. It's another 5 chapters to my second possible title for episode 7, which is New Friends and Old Enemies,
which would be
is
when the girls meet.
when Egwene meets Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
And from Stone to Stone is where I pretty much picked where I thought the ending of episode 7 could be, or around there,
Yeah,
for
if we're
both the
not
Rand.
splitting up their arcs, which I wouldn't entirely do. Like I
No, I
think
wouldn't
you
either.
I think that would lose people. Um so you can't entirely split it up, but I also just I don't know, that doesn't feel very far to get with either one of those arcs.
If you do both of them, though, because I mean, just translating from book, we're talking from chapter 9 to chapter 24. Because technically, Nynaeve's test is before when Egwene meets Elaine in the book.
Mm. I would definitely have Egwene's. I would do Nynaeve's test in the second in episode 7, and I would almost maybe make that the focus.
Because yeah, Rand's group is mostly traveling. It's very, I think,
It's a lot of traveling in there.
Egwene and Nynaeve's traveling. It will be a almost comic relief to Rand's journey he's having right now.
I don't know because I mean, so
I, I
all
say
that's
comic.
happening in that time period before the girls get to the tower and before the boys get to the um waste the stone is it's traveling. I mean, we learn a lot about the one power, but it's all like exposition. I feel like you need to get to something a little bit more interesting. And then again, we get to see that's what we had talked about as the ending point for episode 6 was
If we
seeing
did some of the traveling, then
Moraine and Swan split.
oh, that's right.
Because we had talked about that.
So it would have been they're in the courtyard. That happens. We meet Hurin, the sniffer, I think.
Honestly, and
Or
this is
no,
gonna
no,
I almost would people are gonna hate me. I would almost cut her and I love him. I think he's a great character, but he's just kind of weird. Or just
it's
maybe
a really, really rechanging of that I don't know. It's possible. No, I think we
yeah.
talked about just following the girls and the Aes Sedai. We see Rand's party leave gates, but then we stick with the Amerlin and the Aes Sedai. That's right. We in episode 6, and we watch them traveling. We get a couple of the lessons, possibly with the girls with different
I
Aes
don't think
Sedai.
that there will be time in episode 6 for that, but I think so for ending we get to see them travel and then I think like I had said follow Moraine when Moraine leaves. So I think maybe pick up episode 7 with the guys leaving
Yeah,
um and
exactly.
give the
So we
other
would,
side of that for a little while until they get to that like first town.
I would say, until they get to the ferry, because the first town is like a quick blip, and all that happened there. No, it's
Right. So I'm thinking probably we won't see nearly as much of their journey as we do in the actual book, but like I would do until they get to that town with like the weird flies or whatever.
that's the ferry town. It's
Yeah,
the second town technically they run into, because the first town's just introducing the concept, I think, of the Trollocs and Dark Friends wiping out a town.
maybe.
Wait, no.
Um,
I just listened to this. Why do I think? Because the ferry. No, because the ferry, they just go across.
um, but
But
I think I would have episode 7 mostly focused on the guys with occasional moments from the girls. Um,
yeah, I think it's
that's
the
not
ferry
very
first.
much
So
at all.
so they get to the ferry, and why is I feel like there's 3 towns. There's a small, well, because there's a bunch of camps where they switch.
Hmm.
Then they get to the ferry, they cross, and there's yeah, there's the ferry, they cross, they find the bodies, then there's the next town, I think, with the flies and the murderall.
Oh, I forgot about the Murdrell.
So I would say we follow them to the ferry, and we
Yeah,
get the
I'm
first.
just trying to think of how to do episode 7 where it's not just traveling. Because I was thinking, okay, we could get to the girls arriving in Tarvalon and the boys somewhere, but that's just traveling.
Well, you go off. You got to show a little bit of the boys traveling because the concept of if they keep in the concept that there's this weird zigzagging that we learn later is a power struggle with Pad and Fane. There is also a Pad and Fane scene, I think, in one of these chapters that I
I
don't care to.
wouldn't. I wouldn't include the Pat and Fane
Yeah,
stuff, to be honest.
but
I mean, I guess you do get moments in there with the guys where you get to see like the mirror draw nailed up and the fly scene and stuff. So there are moments in that.
see, this is why I'm confused, is because I thought the fly scene was before Rand got the banner. He gets the banner the first time they camp. No,
Yeah, they he gets the banner
but it's
the
the
first
same camp
stop.
that's the portal stone
I don't think
is
so.
when he gets that. Yes, it is. It's because they decide they learn about his channeling the same time he gets the banner.
Doesn't sound right.
I don't know why. I literally just listened to it and I get everything mixed up. Unless the ferry wasn't for the no, because there's only the one river crossing. So is the fly to the ferry? I don't know. Whatever. I literally just listened to this. But whatever the first town they get to, and then I would say jump to the girls, and we maybe get a sprinkling of them getting lessons. 'Cause I
Hmm.
think the chapters, uh,
I think the
we
only one,
get
honestly, well,
the Varen one
no, I was
and
actually thinking the one with
just the
Swan
Amelin.
and Nynaeve is a good one. Um, and then I would honestly do one with Leandrin so that we kind of get more of a vibe of her.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because we get a bunch of history lessons as the boys are traveling too. So I guess it's the first town with the Murdral and the flies. Uh, oh no, it's the ferry first. Because that's where Uno sees the woman in white. And then at the next town, uh, I guess there technically is in one day where it's both the ferry and the other town in one day.
I don't know.
Because it says he was supposed to give the bundle from Moraine at the first camp south of the Aran, and
Oh, so that was south
weird.
of the river. So it was the bundle was later. Um,
Yeah. But
it's
no,
fine.
yeah,
Whatever.
get to the first town. So you're saying just the Amelin one? You don't need to see
I
any of
would
the
do
others?
that one and then do one with Leandrin so we get to learn a little bit more about Leandrin. The one with Varen, I don't really think there was anything super important in that one.
It's just more weird. Well, Varen would have already left if we said we were going to follow to when Moraine leaves, because that's the problem with if in episode 6 we get to the point with Moraine leaving is because Varen and Leandrin are supposed to be gone also.
Yeah, but that can be slightly different. It's not that big of a deal.
I mean, I'm just technically I don't know. I don't know if we need to show any lessons because it's not like we learn anything, but
I think the one with Swan is important just because it shows a little bit of her character. It shows a little bit more of Nynaeve, and I think that would be the one I would do. It's just about this is how you embrace the source and a little bit of like
yeah,
that.
I would show one kind of scene with somebody training other than Swan.
And then yeah, and
Uh,
that's why I think I would
just a little
do
bit of that.
Leandrin just because I think she's a good counterpoint to Swan.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that in episode 6 we don't get to the point of the Moraine breaking off, just because
Well, I was kind of going under the
you
impression
show
that
Moraine
Moraine
leave.
splits very early, that she doesn't travel with
Yeah,
them very long. Was kind of what I was
that's
thinking.
probably, yeah. I think that makes more sense. That way we know Leandrin and Baron are around. Um, and then yeah, we get maybe yeah with Leandrin we get a lesson with her, or because Leandrin's very much like in hers she's asking questions and doesn't really teach him anything.
Yeah, and I just don't think hers is that important.
Where Baron's is the one where we get the very much the mother hen esque kind of this is how it works because it's the first person who gives them a lesson in the book when they start
Yeah,
traveling.
and I would just show that with somebody else, maybe. I don't know. I kind of want to downplay Baron a little bit, to be honest.
Possibly, but yeah, we get the lesson. We I know we've already gotten a slight explanation about what the one power is, but this will start to explain how it works and
A
how
little
you
bit.
for the whole embracing how embracing the source works.
Yeah.
And then jump back to the boys. They get to the next town. They see a dead Murdral. They freak out. They go a little bit longer and they make their camp. And we get the whole here, Rand, you're my second in command. And also, Moraine told me to give this to you. Your life could depend on it. He walks off to look at it, sees it's the banner. Perrin and Matt see it's the banner. They learn that he can channel. What? Rolling your
I
eyes.
hate how both of them, but especially Matt. I hate how Matt reacts to this whole thing so much. I get it. It's realistic. I'm not like, but I hate it. It's
I
so
know.
upsetting.
Are you as excited as I am to see how they do Matt's character during this the Great Hunt in general?
I really hope that they draw a little bit more on who Matt's character ends up later on, because book one and book two Matt are nothing like book three, book four, book five Matt.
If you look at it really like, and this is the thing with rereading and stuff, is you notice that he's got that wittiness to him. He's got that kind of playfulness to him and
A
stuff.
little
And
bit. I mean, I'm at the part in book one where like Rand and Matt are traveling together, and like reconciling that version of Matt with the Great Hunt Matt is just insane to me. Like they act nothing alike.
because yeah, it's a whole conversation. But so they learn about that. Then when they walk back to the camp, they're like, I'm gonna go sleep over here, and Loyal and Turin decide to sleep by him. And I would just go to the point of, and I know we talked about this before, of having some kind of sound effect slash musical theme to go along with Rand's channeling.
Hmm.
Subtle, obviously, and we can have him like starting to go to sleep, so show him maybe trying to sleep, tossing and turning a little bit, and maybe have that sound start to come in as we
Hmm.
fade to black and switch back to Egwene.
Yeah, I think I would leave Matt on a rant on that, like him going to sleep, and then I would switch to the girls and I would go at least until they meet Elaine and Min. So I would do Nynaeve's testing. I think I would switch those. I think I would do them meeting Elaine and Min first and then
See, with
Nynaeve's testing.
because this what's weird is because Egwene's dreaming. I guess I would have her talking about dreaming about Rand
Oh.
just happen much later because that's when they're
She could be
getting on the
talking
boat.
about it. They could have conversations about it, but I don't think I would show her dreams yet.
Well, I know, but there's the specific dream that I it's annoying is I almost want her dream to line up with the boy Rand falling asleep at that portal stone. Or is that too early to end it?
Well, what dream does Egwene have that you're
It's
thinking
the
of?
one where Alzamon and a woman in white are standing over Rand.
So you could have Rand falling asleep and then have like Egwene wake up from that dream, maybe,
Yes,
and
that's a
then
good
have her
transition.
like talk about the dream, and then they arrive in Tarvalon, have her meet Elaine
Well,
and
I'd
Min,
say you have
have
the
Nynaeve's.
lesson with Swan on the boat.
I would have done
We
that
have,
earlier. I would have done that before the lesson.
I
Um,
mean, I don't know. It's it because yeah, at this point, I would say yeah, if we had the Swan lesson. No, because the Swan lesson is supposed to be like the last thing that happens before they get to Tarvalon. It makes
I don't
sense
think it mattered. Why does it make sense for that to be the last thing?
because it super influences how Nynaeve first reacts to like meeting Mistress of Novices and talking about the whole comment of I know a little bit about what it's like to be a novice or whatever.
Yeah, but that doesn't have to be immediate. Like, I think given that it's going to happen in the same episode, I think it's relevant enough.
True.
I wouldn't have another lesson. I would have, so like, it would be boys set out, first town, girls have a lesson with Swan, Rand falling asleep at the portal stone, Egwene wakes up, they arrive in Tarvalon. I
So
wouldn't do
you'd
another
only
lesson in
have the
there.
Swan lesson, no other lessons at all.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how I would make things happen,
See,
but
this
we
is
can also show them having more lessons in the tower. Like,
well, I know we talked about this and we super disagree on it. Where I think that's all going to be season 2 stuff, all of their
maybe.
lessons. I don't think I want to get too in depth into the magic system in season 1.
Yeah, but if that's the case, I don't think we necessarily need more lessons on the way to Tarvalon. I think I would
True.
have that lesson with Swan where they learn how to embrace the source and then they have that whole,
Power struggle,
novices blah 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 thing.
I guess. Um, so yeah, we can have Egwene waking up, wanting to tell somebody about this weird dream, and I don't care who it is. I think it's a Naya Sedai or whatever. At first, is the concept of a dreamer to her, but
But
I would, yeah,
yeah.
they get to Tarvalon. I would go because they get to Tarvalon, they get led into the tower, and I think it like cuts off there.
Yeah, and I would have them like immediately meet Elaine because like the whole thing is Egwene got to meet Elaine as like her buddy to help her show things. So they just immediately meet Elaine, and Elaine introduces them to Min, and then have the Mistress of the Novices show up to take Nynaeve to her testing.
I would cut it there then.
Well, I was
Go
thinking ending the episode with. I was thinking show Nynaeve's testing and then ending the episode with Rand waking up in the portal world.
that could work.
Was kind of what I was thinking.
And honestly, I think that'd mean episode 8 would be practically all Rand.
See, that's why I'm trying to figure because like after that the girls, or well, and the only reason I say not change it because I don't think we have enough for a full episode if we cut it before Nynaeve's testing. Depending on how
Unless
they
we
do
go
it though,
farther with Rand's group.
because depending on how they do it, episode 8, Nynaeve's testing could be in episode 8 if we have enough time already in episode 7. But
Um,
because ending with the Mistress of the Novices summoning Nynaeve and then Rand waking in the portal world would be a good episode
I think
end.
it's when he wakes in the portal world is the chapter title from Stone to Stone. I mean, it doesn't have to technically because I think Blood calls the Flame of Tarvalon is the first or second chapter of the book. It is the first chapter of the book, and that's episode 6's title. So I
Yeah,
guess it doesn't
I
have to
think.
be.
See, I don't think From Tone to Stone would make sense for that chapter, that episode, because like, what
That's
is
why I
it? But
said,
I also don't know that New Friends and Old Enemies makes a lot of sense because who's the old enemies?
yeah, that's what's confusing. I don't know. It was more so for me. I guess we could go with To the White Tower.
To the White Tower could be good. Um,
Hmm.
or Woven in the Pattern.
I mean, if we're trying to build
The
up to an
Hunt
interesting,
Begins. Those are all good episode titles.
actually, The Hunt Begins might be a good one.
The
I
Hunt
think they
Begins would be a good episode title.
yeah, no, there's a lot of good ones.
And then
And
I would
then,
have episode 8 be.
or it could be The Testing is episode 7's title, and we end the episode with Nynaeve's
It's
test.
just a low impact title. I don't like. I was thinking that, but it's kind of
Do
a.
you? We have a title called Leave Takings for episode 1.
I suppose that's true.
So I don't know how many people actually pay attention to episode titles. How many shows have you watched that you can tell me the episode titles of?
It depends on the show. Some shows
I
make
know.
use
I'm
of them.
just um.
Um, and then
I
I would
think
do
first and
episode
last.
8. Maybe
I would
Flight from the White Tower would be an interesting title for episode
see,
8.
and we me and you super disagree. I think with the whole how far to go in the White Tower stuff.
Well, I think if they get to the flicker sequence with the boys, what might be would be a really good title, which is like what the flicker is. But that's only if they
Oh,
get that far. And I don't think I would go that far, to be honest.
and there's just not a good ending point. I don't, except for maybe when the horn gets stolen again.
I think if you do somewhere in there with the guys when they're in Kyrian, the yeah, I don't know that I would do exactly when the way gate is blocked because that's really boring. I just think the flicker sequence itself is a weird spot to end because that just leaves you with so many questions about what just happened. Um, Plus, I think it's if we not to get into season two stuff. My idea for season two would be episode one is almost entirely focused on Egwene and Shan Chan, and episode two would be the big battle of Falma for season two. So yeah, you could have the guys.
Being quick, I
What?
would go Battle of Falma being like episode 3 or 4 if they're doing 8 episode
But how do
seasons.
you get that much content out of what's happened?
That's
Well,
why I
you
feel
have the
like,
girls leaving a lot later, though.
because okay, this is my thing. Okay, time frame. We know they lose 3 months after the flicker thing.
Yeah.
The boys. The from I know we discussed the timeline a little bit. Is based on my knowledge of it. Egwene's dream is right before they get on the boat. Is at
Hmm.
the same time that Rand goes into the first portal stone. He travels for a 4 like 3 or 4 days in the portal world, I think. And then he spends
Um.
it's about I would say 2 weeks time between when he falls asleep at the portal stone and he meets back up with Rand with Matt and Perrin and Kyrie and I want to say it's like 2 weeks time ish.
Uh. So Rand spends mm, like 3 or 4 days
Hmm.
in the portal stone, but
Then
I'm
when they
trying to
get out
get.
on the other side, he spends like 3 or 4 days there, camped out
Uh,
waiting for Pat and Fane.
so Rand and them leave for use the portal stone. How much out of time? About yeah. So the girls go to Balma, go to the Shanchan about the same about a month after they use the portal stone, but then they spend like a month in Falma before the guys show up. It's about they travel almost exactly in the middle of that time jump.
Yeah, and see, so that's my thing is there is in chapters we get Egwene meets Min and Elaine, and then the next time we see them in the books is them leaving.
Well, I would spend some time in the actual White Tower. I
And
think
that's why I say like we have a month or we could come into season 2 with like almost, and I know it would be compared of like Harry Potter level of not maybe that crazy, but maybe bring in a lot more of like how what they're doing in the White
but
Tower.
I think I would only do that. I would start it in episode 8. So I think episode 8 would be focused on Rand getting through the portal world, um, and then them getting to Kyrie. And I would have maybe them use the portal stone at the end of episode 8, but I wouldn't see the result of that this season.
Oh
Just
yeah, I know. That's
because
what I'm
I
saying.
think the flicker sequence is so weird, it'd be a bad plot spot to end it. That way you can start season 2 with the flicker sequence. But I would have the girls, I think if you end with Rand using the portal stone and the girls entering the Waygate at the same time, that might be a bit too parallel but I would get the girls at least into the Waygate.
Just, and see, we're gonna. I'm not going to agree with you. We're never going to agree on this. I just
I
think
just think it's a
because
really good spot to end it. And maybe you see them come out of it and get kidnapped, but you don't really get to understand what happened. And then you know that, like,
but see, this is what's so weird when you have two parallel storylines right now. And I don't think we need both storylines to have extreme ending points.
I just think I would prefer the girl. I just think the girls getting kidnapped for me is a more interesting ending than anywhere Rand has that he could end. I think anywhere in that, and I also think Rand doesn't have stakes to go to Falma, despite Fane's meet me at
So
Tolman
maybe
Head.
I'm going
I
a
don't
little
think
bit
there's
too,
stakes for him to get there until we know Egwene's kidnapped in there.
but he doesn't know that, and so it wouldn't make sense.
But
And
for
this is
the
my thing.
viewer, it's
I think it would be a super strong conflict in the beginning of season 2 for the girls going to through the way gates and getting kidnapped is the huge starting conflict for season 2. Because like you said, you don't want to involve the Shan Chan, so
right.
why?
But so you don't necessarily, so we as viewers know there's something shady about Leandrin. We don't necessarily know she's a dark friend or that she's Black Audra, but we know there's something shady about her. So we're like wary about the girls trusting her. And so you have her go through and you either have, you know, they're following Leandrin and you're like, you shouldn't trust her, or we actually get to them leaving and you don't see the Shan Chan necessarily, you just see soldiers capture them and you don't really know what's happening. I think is a
I
more
guess,
exciting
but
ending.
it's like if you want to go exciting with Rand's storyline, it's like one they could speed it up a little bit with some of the traveling, but it could be maybe you get the episode 8, the big climax of the episode would be the Trollocs and the starting of the fire at the Illuminator's chapter house,
Yeah, you
and then
could.
it calms down a little bit and end the episode with Rand saving Hurin from the inn fire, finding out the horn is stolen again,
I think the stealing of the
and
horn
then
is a good spot
that
for Rand's story
that's
to
where I'm
end.
and that would be enough excitement. I don't think you need to raise the tensions in the girls' timeline yet. I think
I don't know. But
be,
I would definitely have Nynaeve's testing either end of episode 7 or start of episode 8.
think episode 7 end is what I'm
Yeah.
leaning
And I would
towards.
have episode 8, I mean, Rand traveling through the ways, he would, or not the ways, through the portal world. He would definitely get out of the portal world. We introduce Selene.
Oh, the one scene we didn't talk about is the Moiraine scene.
I would save that and do that. That would actually be a good opener for season 2. Is something kind of out there that's a little bit unrelated to everything else. Is probably isn't a bad place to open season
Weird
2.
to have an episode without Moiraine in it.
We're gonna have 2 episodes without Moraine in it.
I know that's what's a little weird about it.
Moraine wasn't barely in all of book 2. We're gonna have some episodes without her.
I know. Because there's that. There's also the couple of scenes we get Bail Bowman showing up in Falm,
That I
but we
would
don't
save for
want.
season 2.
Yeah, I think already possibly covered him leaving towards Falm.
Yeah, well, because we
But
had talked about episode 5. We said we'd have a bit of a catch up with
a lot
where
of
random
people,
people
yeah.
are. We also
we
haven't
already
talked about Logain in a while, but I don't really think there's an importance to focus on him
he's
after he's gentled, other than the girls
the
seeing him.
chapters. Yeah, that's when Egwene meets Elaine, and Elaine's like, "I got you to go. You need to go meet my other friends who know Rand," and that's when they first run into Logain.
Yeah, they just pass him and they're like, well, he's sad and he makes some really depressing suicide jokes, which is like, we
It's all
stand.
cool.
Uh,
God, there's so much traveling in the first half to 3/4 until Rand gets to Kyrie, and it's so
and
much
then it's just
traveling.
politics.
No, I'm sorry, that's really fun.
Okay, here's question.
What?
Do we get to see Tom before the end of season 2? Do we get to see that he's still alive?
I think
Or
so.
season 1?
Season 1, I think so.
I think so. Here's the thing. I still fully advocate for Tom actually dying at Whitebridge. But I think one, we had already talked about this, either make it obvious to the viewer that he didn't actually die. And the other thing is, while we're doing all that catch up in season 4 or in episode 4, I would maybe show Tom. If we as viewers already know Tom's
Be
not
fun,
dead,
yeah.
maybe show a
add.
glimpse of him then. Just because
Well, because we talked about the whole concept of in episode 5, end of 4, beginning of 5 area, the whole like showing the slight transition that
Hmm.
Winter's finally falling off. We can show Tom like making his way to Kyrie, and which would make the
Not even
impact
necessarily somewhere
felt.
specific, just kind of a vague, maybe him meeting Dana, if they're going to include her as a character, which I kind of hope they don't, because she's just kind of a lot of lost potential, if you ask me.
She's a plot device, but a good one.
Hmm.
Um, but oh yeah, no, don't show where he's at because that would
Just like
make
him
Rand
traveling
running.
or him performing in a random inn or something like that. Just a moment.
Because I think he's. This is what's so weird about the Wheel of Time is okay. So you have these actors, and I'm so when I think about this, it's like okay, that's why I joked about Moiraine not being in episodes. It's like you have a big budget actress like this, and you're gonna just have 2 episodes she's not in, and that's how I feel
But
about
I
like
don't know what I would do with Moraine during those 2 episodes. It's not even like an I'm not including her. I mean, she's doing research
yeah. There's just the one scene, yeah, with the whole Drakkar attack
with
and
the
stuff like that.
Drakkar, but like I would save that
Um,
for season 2. I'm trying to. I mean, unless you want to give Moraine a side quest that she didn't have in the books,
well, there's a lot of we don't know what she was doing from that scene until she shows up in places at the
right?
end of the
There was
book.
definitely lost time there. So if they wanted to give Moraine some sort of side quest during episode 7 and 8, so that she's
They
still
could
there.
add, and this is a weird thing because we don't know how much new spring stuff will be included. We don't know how many extra new stuff they're going to add in. We
Hmm.
talked about seeing Elaine and Gowan and Galad showing up at the White Tower. Loghain's gentling would be somewhere in 5, 6, because he's already.
Hmm. Or maybe even 4, but
Yeah. So it's like I know we're gonna super disagree on where to end slash start, and if we get more information. Like I said, it's just weird because it's like okay, you have the actor playing Tom. He's in episode 1 and 2, and then maybe episode 8.
I mean, but I honestly don't think Tom is going to come back in the season. Um, I think it. I don't know. I think
I would
just
be willing to.
here we go. Tom stays dead after Whitebridge. We introduce her and he does everything Tom did. Problem solved.
It doesn't work. Actually, I could be okay with him not being in this episode because if we get to the point of the horn being stolen back and the moon being down, one of the things is we can introduce Tom back in season 2, and maybe they decide to keep him dead, maybe they don't. But if they want to, is the only time is when he runs into him at the party.
Right. Well, they could either do that. They could do it that Rand sees him at the party rather than before then. They could also just not introduce him until he's in Tarvalon. That could be his reintroduction.
But it's so weird because
Although
Rand carries his pack around for so long, and with the harp and the flute, and would get
that's
weird
true, you kind of have
if
to
it.
give it to him.
Yeah, that would just get weird if he kept holding on to it much longer. I think.
Not really. He could give it to Matt. Matt could be the one that carries it for a while. I mean,
Uh, I
but
just don't see the motivation for him to do that. I don't know. I could go either way. Like I said, if they wanted to cut down on how much Tom is doing in Kyran, it could be he just runs into him at the party, and maybe ran because we get in the book is Tom later stops by the inn and they'd already left for the steading after the
yeah.
party.
I
Is
don't get me wrong, I
Rand
would the last thing I would want to do is lose Tom's iconic starting a civil war
exactly?
issue. But I
But
don't
this
know.
could be
I don't
season
like
two
Tom's
stuff.
character. I don't think he serves much of a purpose, so when it comes to Tom stuff, I'm definitely not the best person to ask what to do with him.
But I mean, they could cut out a lot of the stuff. They could just have in season 2, have him at the party. Um, Rand when he runs into him and talks and be like, "Oh yeah, I have your stuff. Stop by my inn." And then we get a couple of minutes in that first episode of season 2 where Tom stops by the inn. They're already bouncing because of all the information they find out at the party, and there's his stuff left there for him.
Could.
Is how they could do that.
There's a
So
few
that's
ways they could. I just don't think. I just whatever. It's Tom. Um,
it's yeah.
but so you would have the season end with the girls just chilling.
I'm trying to think of what to put into episode 8 if we do the
I mean,
testing is at the end of episode 7.
is it in episode 7 or is it in book 2 or book 3 where the gray man shoots at?
That
That's
is
in book
book
3.
3.
But they could
Um,
introduce gray men earlier and have that happen with the girls. Nah, it's kind of
yeah,
dumb.
that wouldn't make sense. It's like the reason I don't want to continue with them is because I feel like I want to spend a little more time in those 2 months they're at the tower or so, where we
I would
get
be just as fine spending more time with the girls post Fama in the tower. Like,
they're not in the tower for very long. Post Fama, they're in the tower like 3 days, 4 days,
but there's no like specific reason that's they're only in the tower for a couple days.
because they find out where their
They're
quarry
there
is.
for longer than that. They have to
I
be.
was just listening to a people's podcast. They get the mission and it's like 72 hours. It's ridiculous.
That
There
is a
might be
little
like,
ridiculous.
well, there is some time because there's the accepted tests that people have to do. But like, as soon as
Yeah.
once they get promoted to accepted, it's like 72 hours and they're gone. Spoilers, obviously, for book 3, but not big spoilers. No, but and we could argue about where to end it. I think we're agreeing on how far to take the boys, though.
I think I don't know exactly where I would take them, but I think before the flicker scene, I just
I don't know. I
yeah.
think the whole horn getting stolen back is a good ending point for
The
them.
only thing there is there's nothing going on with Matt and Perrin during that whole time.
We get some of their stuff. We don't get the huge action. We get them meeting an Aiel.
Oh yeah, no, that happens in the steading. That's later.
No, they meet the Aiel in the mountains where they learn about the whole Karn thing. The single
Urian.
Aiel. Yeah, he's
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Oh yeah, I guess that is.
yeah, it's at the mountain pass.
It's funny because Rafe said there's going to be an Aiel in season 1, but he said it's not the one you think, which is absolutely bizarre to me, and I have no idea
Oh,
what
they're
it
just gonna
means.
have Gaul play both roles. They're gonna have Gaul take Urian's spot.
Maybe. But
It's going to be Shail.
they also run into maidens when they're in the steading.
Yeah,
afterwards.
there is that too.
Um,
I don't think we're gonna have that. I think we're going to literally have that one token Aiel.
I kind of actually hope they introduce that idea a little bit sooner, just so that the seeds for He Who Comes with the Dawn are planted even earlier. Wouldn't be terrible.
I think that's gonna be more of a season 2.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think
plant
that's
the
going to be the
stuff.
main plot of season 2.
No.
Well, that's season 2, and I mean, it's impossible to make predictions there. But I think season 2, the main focus. Well, I already said it. I think the Battle of Falm should be episode 2, maybe episode 3, and then I think season 2 should end with the taking of the stone. But the only other change I would do for season 2 is I would have the spoilers for book 4, but I would have the tower coup happen in season 2. I would have that moved up. But
I don't know. But no, yeah. I don't know. Can you agree with the horn getting stolen back is probably the best ending, unless we go to Flicker, which is just too far, I think.
Well, it's just the thing that makes it hard for me is that it's just the whole Kyrian plot is kind of boring.
But
and I just would be perfectly fine with there just being less time spent in Kyrian.
What's so boring about the Kyrian plot?
There's nothing happening. They're just chilling there with Rand burning letters.
That's like a minute of time.
But he's there for like I guess, I don't know.
It's
just travel. I struggle with travel and like
that's why getting to Kyrian would be nice.
But all of episode 7 and 8 for the most part is going to be travel. It's just different kinds of travel.
Episode 7's going to be a lot of travel. That's why I'm debating on if we can go farther in episode 7 and like episode 8. I almost wonder if we can get to him coming out of the portal stones in episode 7.
So if we choose not to do, we could switch Nynaeve's testing could be in episode 8 instead, and then we could follow Rand out of the portal.
That
So
way we
we
have
like
most
get
of our
like Nynaeve summoned for the testing, and then we switch back to Rand and have him travel through the portal world. And then episode 8 would start with Nynaeve's testing,
I don't
and
know.
then we could have the stuff that happens in Kyrie and paralleling some studying and whatever from the girls.
Maybe. God, this is so hard without like
Anything to go off of.
well, not just that, is like, I mean, we're neither of us are very like super film people, so we can break down how long things will take. And like I said,
Yeah.
it's
But
so book two is so short, it seems.
well, it's I mean,
In a
I don't,
because it's so much traveling is what I mean. That
yeah, it's a lot of traveling. Um yeah, I
I'm
don't know, it's
almost
680. Um it does. It feels like a lot more traveling.
because if we get to an
But
episode 7, he gets out of the portal stones. That means we have Nynaeve's testing. We have him getting the horn from. I think that'd be an interesting way. Episode 8 would be capped with him getting the horn and losing the
that would
horns.
be so dumb.
Why?
I almost think
We could end episode 7 with him getting the horn. Or is that too far?
okay, you know, maybe if they shift stuff a little bit so that he comes out of the portal stone, gets the horn back. Um, I
Episode
just
8
think
we get
the whole thing with with the horn is just kind of weird. That's like you lose it, they get it back, they lose it. You know, it's a little boring.
yeah, but
Because you would literally have episode 6, they lose the horn. Episode 7, he gets the horn back. Episode 8, they lose the horn again.
why not? It's better than them literally just following the horn for 3 episodes.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
a
better
little
than
bit
that.
more interesting.
But I think because I'm trying to think the order things happen in, because he has the stuff in Kyrian, they steal the horn, then they blow up the Illuminator chapter house.
Okay. So when he comes out of the portal stones, they wait around for whatever, and he gets the horn from Pat and Fane.
Yeah, I know that.
They get to the town with the giant statue.
Yeah, which I would include. I mean, I
The
wouldn't.
9 rings in or whatever it is.
But yeah, the 9
Which
rings.
we get introduced to the weird politics in Kyrie and woohoo. I would love some deep
Wow, you
Kyrian.
look vaguely like the Andoran royalty. Who could you be? Could you be the Prince of Andor?
I
Who's
know,
definitely
hilarious.
not in the tower right now, guys.
But we get there, then they get to Kyrie and luckily they jump the travel. It's literally you're at this town, now you're at the city. He gets there, they go in, he decides to travel around the foregate, meets Tom, runs back to the inn, grabs Loyal, goes back, delivers his stuff to Tom. Is it that same night when he's walking back that they get chased by
Well, it's
Trollocs
the whole
into the chapter
puppets
house?
thing.
Yeah, it
Which
might be the
yeah, I
same.
think I would shift a lot of that. I don't like I said, I don't think we're gonna get Tom in episode 8.
Well,
I
I
just
know. I'm just
I don't. Um I think doing the Illuminator chapter house blowing up kind of gives a little bit of something a little bit more exciting to happen because it's honestly episode 7 is going to be kind of boring.
because
Um
well, this would be in episode 8.
right, that's so you kind of make up for it.
I think that's why I say if we can get to him stealing the horn from Pad and Fane, episode 8 would be we get Nynaeve's test, super action. Then we get the scene with
would you do
Karen.
Nynaeve's entire test as one big scene or do you think split it up?
I would do
Because it's the 3 chunks. It's, you know, what was, what is, and what will be.
I don't know how well it would work in storytelling to break it up too much, though. It might
That's what I'm
take two.
trying to decide if you could. I don't know. I just think it's kind of a big chunk to have focused on only one character for a TV show.
Yeah, I'm worried if it would take too much away from it. But there is like, I think you could break it up. You could do the first test, and that would, again, I would be the only Aes Sedai stuff possibly in episode 8.
I would still do some
If you
stuff with
break it,
Egwene.
I know. Right now, I have to. That's the distinct thing I'm thinking of in episode 8. So you can do one of her tests, show that Rand has left the mountains and gets to that first town around that point. Jump to Perrin meeting and Matt meeting the Aiel in the mountains,
Yeah, I would
and
break her test up. I think doing it all in one chunk. I mean, that's like 15 minutes of an entire episode that's just focused on her.
then jump back to
20
Nynaeve.
minutes.
She does her second test. Jump to Rand. Oh, 'cause we're saying not having Tom. If we don't have,
I don't know what to do with Rand and Kyrian. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have no idea what to do with him while he's in Kyrian. I
because
know there's
these are
stuff
the
that happens in the book. I
well,
just
okay. These are the beats of it. He gets there in the first day in Kyrian. Weird gate interaction. Goes to the inn, drops his stuff off. On his way out, or when he first shows up, whichever it is, he gets the first two letters or whatever, throws them in the fireplace, goes to the foregate, meets Tom, runs back to his inn, grabs Loyal and Tom's stuff, goes back out to give Tom his stuff. We meet Dana. And then I think it's still that same day when they get chased around by Trollocs and he ends up at the Illuminator's chapter house and burns it down.
yeah, I don't know.
So you can have day one in Kyrian. So you have Nynaeve's second test, day one in Kyrian, have obviously the necessity of, dropping Huron off and however they go out to the foregate, if we cut and Tom out, and night starting to fall, and as he's heading back, the Trollocs chase him and the whole
Right,
chapter
right,
house
right.
burning down. Then jump back to Nynaeve. Pretty much when Nynaeve's doing a test, that is time skip for other people. So go back to Nynaeve, do her third test with the conclusion, jump back to Rand where he's all of a sudden like got another stack of letters if they want to keep that
Yeah.
note that he throws into the fire. And he's like, "Hey, Huron, me and Loyal are gonna go see if Perrin and Ingtar have shown up." Goes down to the gate, asks about, "Hey, are they here?" No. And then when he's walking back to the inn, there's the fire. They run in, they save Huron, find out the horn's gone. Varen and them show up to find Rand, and he laughs/cries because the horn's gone and they're too late.
Hmm. Yeah, that just doesn't seem like a lot for an episode, though. We basically, I don't know. I don't know. But I do think ending the season with the horn getting stolen again is not a bad spot to end the season.
Yeah. And the girls, like I said, because in the books we they have a lesson with Varen, lesson with Leandrin, get on the boat, lesson with Swan, show up at the tower. Nynaeve takes her test. Egwene meets Elaine and Min, and then time skip to them leaving the tower.
Yeah.
There's nothing that happens with them that, and
Right, but I don't think we need to have stuff happen with them. Same thing with like I don't think we need to see every moment Rand spends in Kyrian.
I know. And that's why I just said those beats of time, and I almost feel like just because it adds more stuff, maybe keeping Tom in because it's like, or you have to make up a bunch of stuff to keep the girls busy in the tower for the rest of the episode.
But you don't. That's what I'm saying. Is like you have I don't know. I don't know. But I think ending the season with the horn getting stolen and I still think the girls leaving the tower is a good spot to end the season.
I'm never going to agree with you on that. Sorry. I just think it's too far. I would rather continue farther in the boys' story, but if
But
you
the boy
continue,
story, what continues in the boy story is like 1 day worth of time.
um, yeah, it's like next day
It's like
they
2 days.
go to
It's
the
like the next day they go
party.
to the party, and the day after that they go to the steading, and then to the portal stone, and then it's 3 months later.
Yeah, I would almost say like maybe continue them up to the point of them going to the steading, and maybe we'll get to see more IEL if we want. That's the only problem with why I wouldn't, unless they take the IEL out of the steading scene.
I don't
Then we
know.
get the Aerith. Do we want Aerith in
I
season
just don't.
one?
Well, I don't think the steading. See, that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah,
the
that's.
steading is one of those things that should be in season 2 if they're going to do it. I
I
think
think
reintroducing Tom should be in season 2 if they're going to do it.
I I could go either way on the Tom thing. I think it would work either way with the Tom thing.
I just think it's
Um,
kind of a weird thing to reintroduce. I mean, I think it's weird the way he's reintroduced in book 2 anyway, because he's reintroduced and then he disappears again. Like, why even introduce him? Like,
it works for the timeline.
but all right, let's. But yeah, I don't know. I hope we get more information, but I really think
I'm I'm kind of at the
Amazon's going to be pretty
point.
quiet until the show comes out, basically, at this point.
I'm to the point where just a teaser or a trailer. I'm hoping like
I think, well, here's my prediction. I think the show, based on what I've seen of when Amazon releases their originals and stuff, I think the show's coming out late summer 2021. I
yeah,
think we have almost a year to wait for the show to come out. I think we'll
8 months to a
get
year.
a teaser before Christmas. I think the first real trailer might be drop Super Bowl. I think it might be a Super Bowl commercial for the first trailer.
It's worth waiting for.
Assuming we have a Super Bowl at this point, that's a little up in the air. But
That's true.
either that
Actually,
or like a Comic-Con or something. When is Comic-Con? Give me a
too
second.
late. That's like middle of summer, I thought.
Comic-Con, let's see. Comic-Con San Diego. San Diego Comic-Con is normally in July. Yeah, that's way too late.
But I feel like a Comic Con or a convention like that, that's where you drop a teaser. They won't drop a full trailer for a convention.
I don't know. I also kind of, I mean, my
It's not
secret hope is that they'll have like and then the New York Comic-Con is normally, they could do it at New York Comic-Con. That's usually in February. I also have a very selfish and probably false hope that they'll do something for promoting it at Jordan Con, but probably not.
Rafe Judkins surprisingly just shows up with
I could
the
see,
Emmons Field 5.
I don't know about everyone. I could see
Oh,
Rafe
come on.
Judkins showing up. I could see them just doing a dumb, like having a booth, but I think them doing something like a secret episode 1 premiere at Jordan Con or something like that would be.
All right, since we're talking about teasers and trailers, what do you think would make the perfect tease? You know what? We'll save that for another episode. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
that could
stuff
be our
like
next
that.
one. Look
I
forward
think
to
that'd
that.
be really fun. All right, well, I guess it's the end of the episode. Make sure if you're listening to this on our podcast, I don't know, are there likes and comments on podcasts? I don't see anybody do it. But this stuff does get uploaded on YouTube, and if you're watching this, then please like, comment, subscribe, whatever
Let
you
us
want to
know
do. It's
either
just
on,
nice to know
yeah,
people are there.
let us know on Twitter or comment below what you think the ending point of season 1 is going to be.
Yes, you can also we have a Discord, which is another turning. I should know these things. We leave the links. We have links, so I don't have to remember them. It's all in the description.
Follow us on
Instagram,
Twitter and Instagram at Pod Another.
yeah. We have a Patreon. You could be number one. Big things with Patreon. Obviously, we're new at this early access stuff. I'm in the process of writing a fan fiction.
Exclusive
I
access
know.
to Ben's Wheel of Time fan fiction only on Patreon.
I will probably release the prologue soon for general people everywhere, which you might have already seen by the time this is out. But I will probably have exclusive access for Patreons if I continue it. That's it I'm thinking about. I mean, I don't know. I'm bad at this whole self-promoting thing.
It still feels uncomfortable. But yeah, so
Talk to us.
yeah, please just talk to us. We just want to talk to people about Wheel of Time, okay? And that's it for us. We will see you the next time in the Wheel of Time.